Listen to me, you pathetic little nobody. You're a broke waitress scraping by on tips and pity. You think feeding some dirty street rat makes you a hero? You're nothing. Keep this up and I'll make sure you never work in this town again. You'll lose everything." Her manager's spit hit Beth's face as he screamed. His finger jabbed into her chest. Hard. The other waitresses looked away. Nobody helped. That was yesterday. Today the coffee cups shattered. The whole diner shook like an earthquake. Beth stumbled to the window. A military helicopter descended, black, massive, landing in her parking lot. The door opened. Ethan stepped out, the starving boy she'd been feeding in secret. But he wasn't running. He walked beside a man in a dark suit, calm. Then Ethan looked up at Beth and waved, like greeting an old friend. Let's rewind. 3 months before that helicopter. Beth Davis stood behind the counter at Rosie's diner, wiping down the same worn surface she'd cleaned for 14 years. 6 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon every single day. $5 an hour plus whatever tips customers left. Most days, $60. Good days, $80. It wasn't much. But it kept her invisible. And invisible was what Beth needed. The diner sat on the edge of town. Small place. 15 tables with cracked vinyl seats, weak coffee, decent pie on Thursdays. Regular customers who left small tips and didn't ask questions. Nobody knew who Beth used to be. 15 years ago, Beth wasn't a waitress. She was one of the best cryptographers the National Security Agency had ever seen. She could crack codes that made senior analysts quit. She saw patterns nobody else could. Numbers were her language. By 25, she had Q clearance. By 27, the CIA wanted her. The offer came on a Tuesday. A man in a gray suit, 6-figure salary. 6 months overseas doing intelligence work. Miss Davis, your country needs you. This is work that saves lives. Beth looked at the photo on her desk. Tommy, her son, 8 years old, gap-toothed smile, holding a baseball mitt too big for his hands. I have a son. We have excellent childcare programs. He'd be well taken care of. You're asking me to leave him for 6 months. No. My answer is no. The man's smile vanished. You might regret this decision, Miss Davis. I doubt it. I'm his mother. That matters more than codes. The man stood. At the door, he paused. We'll see. 3 months later, Tommy got sick. Headaches. Sharp ones that made him cry at night. Then seizures. Small at first, then violent, then the hospital, white walls, beeping machines, doctors with grim faces. The diagnosis came on a Friday, a rare neurological condition, degenerative, fatal without treatment. But medication existed, experimental, showing remarkable results in trials. Available only through classified government programs. Beth called the number. The same man answered. Miss Davis, I was wondering when I'd hear from you. My son needs that medication. The trial. I'll sign your contract. I'll do whatever you need, please. A long pause. I'm sorry. The trial is only for family of active personnel. You declined our offer. You don't qualify. He's 8 years old. He's dying. I understand this is difficult. Good luck, Miss Davis. The line went dead. Tommy died 4 weeks later. Beth held his hand until the end. In his final moments, Tommy looked up at her, pale, weak, still smiling. Mom, it's okay. You stayed with me. That's what matters. You chose me. His last words. Then he was gone. Beth buried him on a Thursday. Rain. Alone. After that, Beth never went back to cryptography. She moved to this small town, got the job at Rosie's, became invisible. For 14 years, she told herself she'd made the right choice, stayed with Tommy, been his mother until the end, but late at night, she heard that voice. You might regret this decision. She did, every single day, until 3 months ago, when the boy appeared. Thursday afternoon, 2 o'clock, closing time. Beth was wiping tables when she saw him through the window. A boy, maybe 10 years old, painfully thin, clothes hanging loose, dirty hair, pale face, almost gray. He stood on the sidewalk staring at leftover pie on the counter. His hands trembled, his eyes were hollow. But he didn't come inside, didn't knock, didn't beg, just stood there, hungry, silent. Something in Beth cracked open. She grabbed a takeout container, filled it with pie, sandwich, water, walked through the kitchen to the back door, stepped into the alley. The boy was already there, waiting, like he knew she'd come. Beth set the container on the ground. Here, it's yours. No strings. The boy stared at it, didn't move. It's okay, nobody's watching. Take it. He knelt slowly, opened the container. His hands shook as he grabbed the sandwich. He ate like he hadn't eaten in days. Desperate. Fast. Beth started to turn, give him privacy. Then she saw it. A scar at the base of his skull. Small, surgical, precise. Hidden under his hairline where most people would never notice it. Beth's breath stopped cold. She knew that scar. She'd seen it before. On Tommy. The exact same placement. The exact same size. A neurosurgical incision. The kind used in experimental procedures. The kind the CIA had shown her 15 years ago at that classified facility. The tour guide's voice echoed in her memory. Like the old MK Ultra experiments, Miss Davis, but refined. Modern. We're not breaking minds anymore. We're enhancing them. Surgical implants for memory, for pattern recognition, for children with extraordinary gifts. She'd felt sick then. She felt sicker now. This boy had Tommy's scar, which meant someone had done to him what they'd wanted to do to children in that program. The boy came back 2 days later. Same time, same place. Beth brought more food. This time he spoke. "Thank you." His voice was quiet, hoarse. "What's your name?" He hesitated. "Ethan." "I'm Beth. Do you live around here?" Silence. His eyes looked older than 10. Then he ran. It became a pattern. Every Tuesday, every Thursday, 2 o'clock. Ethan appeared. Beth brought food. He ate, sometimes said thank you, then vanished into the alleys. Beth didn't ask questions, just fed him, because she couldn't save Tommy. But maybe she could save this boy. On week 3, Beth noticed something new, a bracelet on Ethan's wrist. Thin, metal, with numbers engraved into the surface. 13, just the number, nothing else. "What's that bracelet?" Beth asked carefully. Ethan's hand shot to his wrist. He yanked his sleeve down, fast. "Nothing. It looks like it's nothing. I have to go." He ran before she could finish. That night, Beth couldn't sleep. The bracelet, the number, the scar. She'd seen something like it before, 15 years ago, when the CIA gave her a tour of a research facility, before she'd declined their offer. Children had been there, young kids. Orphans, the guide had explained. Part of a special program, learning extraordinary skills, being trained for important work. One of those children had worn a bracelet exactly like Ethan's, number 8 engraved on it. The guide had smiled with unsettling pride. "These children are assets, Miss Davis. They have extraordinary gifts, photographic memories, pattern recognition beyond normal limits. We're training them for vital work. Think MK Ultra, but ethical, controlled. We're building better minds, not destroying them." Beth had felt sick listening to it then. The next day, she watched closer. The way Ethan scanned the entire street before sitting down. The way he never stayed in one spot longer than 5 minutes. The way his eyes seemed to memorize every detail of her face. Week 4, something happened that confirmed her worst fear. Ethan pulled a napkin from the takeout container. Beth had accidentally left a pen inside. The boy picked it up, started drawing on the napkin, not pictures, symbols, mathematical symbols, complex and precise, encryption algorithms, the exact same ones Beth used to write at the National Security Agency 15 years ago. Beth's blood went cold. "Where did you learn that?" she whispered. Ethan looked up. His eyes met hers, calm, no fear. "I didn't learn it. I just know it. I've always known it." He folded the napkin carefully, slid it across the ground toward her. Then he stood up and walked away without another word. Beth picked up the napkin with shaking hands, unfolded it slowly, stared at the symbols she hadn't seen in 14 years, and at the bottom, written in small, careful letters, "They're watching you." Beth's head snapped up. She looked toward the street. Through the narrow alley entrance, barely visible in the afternoon shadows, sat a black sedan, tinted windows, engine idling quietly. The moment Beth spotted it, the car began to move. It pulled away slowly, deliberately, making sure she saw it leave. They weren't hiding anymore. Beth looked back down at the napkin, at the number Ethan had written next to the encryption symbols, Subject 13. Ethan wasn't just some random hungry street kid. He was Subject 13, a child asset, part of that same program, the one they'd called Ethical MK Ultra, the one that put surgical implants in children's brains and gave them numbers instead of names. And somehow, after 15 years of silence, they had sent him directly to her. The question was why. The black sedan came back the next day. Beth spotted it from the diner window. Same car, same tinted windows. Parked across the street, engine running, someone inside, watching. Beth's hands shook as she poured coffee. 14 years invisible. Now they were back. Because of Ethan. Because of Subject 13. She tried to focus on work, but her eyes kept drifting to that window, to that car sitting there like a threat. Then she noticed something else. A camera. Small. Mounted on the telephone pole across the street, pointed directly at the diner's back door. It hadn't been there yesterday. Beth's stomach turned. This wasn't just a car. This was infrastructure, like the Snowden leaks. Not just phones tapped, cameras in alleys, in public spaces, watching everything, recording everything. They'd turned her small town into a surveillance grid. And she was the target. At 2 o'clock closing time, Beth locked the front door, walked to the back with food for Ethan. Chicken soup, fresh bread, an apple. Ethan was waiting in the alley. But he looked different, more tense. His eyes darted to the camera on the pole. He knew. "They found you," Beth said quietly. Ethan nodded. He took the food but didn't eat, just held it. "How long have they been following you?" "Always," Ethan whispered. "They never stopped. I just got better at hiding." "Why did you come here? Why me?" Ethan looked up at her, those old eyes in a young face. "Because you're the only one who said no to them, the only one who walked away." Before Beth could respond, Ethan was gone, running, vanishing into the maze of alleys. Beth stood there alone. The container of food sat unopened on the ground. She looked toward the street. The black sedan was still there, still watching. And now she knew. The camera saw everything. The surveillance escalated. Every day, new cameras appeared. One on the corner, one near the library, one outside her apartment building. Black sedans rotated positions, different cars, different times, but always there. Beth started noticing people, too. A woman in sunglasses at the coffee shop 3 days in a row. A man reading a newspaper in the park who never turned the page. Eyes everywhere. She changed her routine, brought Ethan's food to different locations. The alley behind the hardware store, the loading dock at the old factory, the cemetery. But Ethan always found her, like he could read her mind, like he knew where she'd be. And every time he looked more scared, more desperate. "They're getting closer," he told her on Tuesday. "They know you're helping me." "Let them know," Beth said. She handed him the food. "I'm not stopping. You don't understand. They'll hurt you. I've already lost everything that mattered. What else can they take?" Ethan stared at her. Then, for the first time, he smiled. Small. Sad. "That's why they chose you." On Thursday, 2 weeks after the black sedan first appeared, everything changed. Beth was closing the diner, wiping down tables, counting the register, getting ready to meet Ethan at their new spot behind the library. The front door opened. A man walked in, tall, mid-40s, expensive suit that looked wrong in a place like Rosie's. His shoes were polished, his tie perfect. Everything about him screamed government. "We're closed," Beth said without looking up. "I know." The man's voice was calm, professional. "I'm not here for food, Miss Davis." Beth's hand stopped moving. She looked up slowly. The man smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "My name is Agent Marks. I think we need to talk." He sat down at the counter, uninvited, like he owned the place. Beth didn't move. "I have nothing to say to you." "That's unfortunate, because I have quite a bit to say to you." Marks folded his hands on the counter. "You've been feeding Subject 13 every Tuesday and Thursday for 3 months. You've been helping a classified asset evade recovery. His name is Ethan. He's a child, not an asset. He's both." Marks pulled out a folder, set it on the counter between them. "Ethan is part of a program, a very important program. He's been missing for 4 months. We need him back. He doesn't want to go back. That's not his decision to make. He's 10 years old. Old enough to know when he's being hurt." Marks's expression didn't change. "We don't hurt our assets, Miss Davis. We train them. We give them purpose, skills, a future. You give them numbers instead of names. You put tracking devices on them like dogs. You put surgical implants in their brains like they're lab rats. For their protection, for their enhancement. From what? From having a childhood? From being human?" Marks leaned forward slightly. Miss Davis, I know who you are. I know what you used to do at the NSA. I know about the offer you declined 15 years ago. Beth's jaw tightened. Then you know I don't work for you people anymore. But you could. Marks opened the folder. Inside were documents, photos. One photo made Beth's chest tighten. A boy, maybe 11 years old, dark hair, thin face, wearing a gray uniform, standing with other children in identical uniforms. The boy wore a bracelet, number 8. That's subject 8, Mark said quietly. His voice changed. Something genuine crept in, something painful. His name was Daniel. He was my responsibility, my asset. Beth looked at Mark's face, saw something there she hadn't expected, grief. What happened to him? Beth asked. Mark's hand touched the photo, just for a second. He died on a mission, 2 years ago. His voice was flat, empty. I gave the order, sent him in. The intelligence said it was safe. The intelligence was wrong. You got a child killed. Yes? Marks looked up at her. I failed him. I hesitated when I should have acted. I second-guessed when I should have trusted my training. Daniel paid the price. Marks closed the folder slowly. Daniel's death haunts me like a bad op in Kabul. Every night. Every decision. I see his face. Beth's hands gripped the counter. Don't you dare bring my son into this. I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm trying to help you understand. Mark stood, pulled out a white card, set it on the counter. Ethan needs someone who can protect him, someone who understands the stakes, someone with your skills and your experience. You want me to be his handler. I want you to save him, because if we can't recover him safely in the next 72 hours, Phoenix Protocol activates, and that's something neither of us wants. What's Phoenix Protocol? Marks looked at her, really looked at her, and in his eyes, Beth saw the answer before he said it. Memory wipe. Complete neural reset. Ethan will forget everything. Who he is, what he knows, everyone he's ever met. Marks paused. Including you. Beth's blood turned to ice. 72 hours, Miss Davis. After that, the boy you've been feeding won't exist anymore. He'll just be Subject 13 again, a blank slate ready for reprogramming. Marks walked toward the door. Think about it. Call me if you change your mind. He left. Beth stood there alone in the empty diner. The white card sat on the counter. Just a phone number, nothing else. She picked it up with shaking hands. 72 hours, 3 days until they erased Ethan's mind, until they erased her from his memory, until they turned him back into a tool, an asset, a number. Beth looked at the clock on the wall. Time was running out, and she had no idea what to do. Beth didn't sleep that night. She sat at her kitchen table staring at Agent Marks's card, just a phone number. 10 digits that could save Ethan or destroy everything. 72 hours, Phoenix Protocol, memory wipe. They would erase him, turn him back into Subject 13, a blank slate with no memories. Beth thought about Tommy, about his last words. You chose me. Now she had to choose again. At dawn, Beth made her decision. She wasn't calling Marks. She wasn't turning Ethan over to people who erase children's minds. She was going to find Ethan first, talk to him. Figure out what he really wanted, because nobody had ever asked him. She found him at the old warehouse on the east side of town. Thursday, 2 o'clock. The warehouse had been abandoned for years. Broken windows, rusted metal. When Beth pushed open the side door, Ethan sat in the corner on an old crate, waiting. How did you know I'd come here? Beth asked. Because you always find me. Ethan looked up, tired. Even when I don't want to be found. Beth set down the bag she'd brought. Food, water, clean clothes. We need to talk. I know. They sent Marks to you. How do you know that? Because that's what they always do. First surveillance, then contact, then the offer. Ethan stood. Did he tell you about Daniel? Beth nodded. Subject 8. He said the boy died on a mission. Daniel didn't die on a mission. Ethan's voice was flat. Daniel refused a mission. 3 days later, Phoenix Protocol. They reset him. Sent him anyway. He died because he didn't remember how to be scared anymore. Beth's stomach turned. Marks lied. Marks lies to himself. Daniel died because the program doesn't let anyone say no. Beth knelt down to eye level. Is that why you ran, because you said no? Ethan nodded. They wanted me to hack a system, steal information that would hurt people. I said no, so they said Phoenix Protocol. I ran. And you came here. To me. Why me, Ethan? Ethan looked at her, and in his eyes Beth saw guilt. Because they told me to, Ethan said quietly. Beth froze. What? I didn't run away. They sent me here. To you. It was always part of the plan. The warehouse tilted. Beth grabbed the crate. You're lying. I'm not. Ethan pulled out a small device, black, rectangular. This is a tracker. They've known where I am every day. They let me run. They let me find you, because that was the test. Test for what? For you. Ethan set the device down. They wanted to see what you'd do, if you'd help me, if you'd protect me, if you still had your moral compass. Beth felt punched. You used me. They used both of us. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. Real tears. I'm sorry, I didn't want to. But they said if I didn't do the test, they'd activate Phoenix Protocol anyway. You said you were an orphan? I lied. My mom's alive. In the program, too. They took me at 4. Told her I died. Ethan wiped his eyes roughly. General Morris knows. He's my father. He runs the program. He designed the test. Beth's mind reeled. Morris. She'd heard that name 15 years ago, the man who'd overseen the facility. Your father sent you to test me. To see if you were the person they need, someone who still believes in doing right, someone who can't be bought. Ethan's voice cracked. I hated lying to you. You were the first person who treated me like a kid, the first real friend I ever had. Beth stood. Her legs felt weak. So this was fake. You were never in danger. Ethan's face changed. Fresh tears spilled. That part's real. The 72 hours, that's real. What do you mean? Morris gave me 4 days. 4 days to complete the test and come back voluntarily. If I don't, his superiors activate protocol. Morris can't stop them. Ethan's whole body shook. We have 56 hours left. After that, I forget everything, including you, including that you were kind to me when no one else was. Beth's heart pounded. So you still need saving? Yes, but not the way you think. Ethan pulled out a USB drive. This has everything. Proof of what the program does. Children they've taken. Missions. Illegal operations. Everything. He held it out. If you publish this, the program ends. All the children go free, including me, including my mom. Beth stared at it. Why haven't you published it yourself? Because I'm 10. Nobody listens to 10-year-olds, especially not classified assets. Ethan's hand trembled. But you're different. Beth Davis. Former NSA, Q clearance, credibility. If you leak this, people will believe you. And they'll come after me. Yes. And you? If it goes public, Phoenix Protocol becomes pointless. They can't erase what everyone knows. Ethan pressed the USB into her hand. But you have to do it in 56 hours before they reset me. Beth looked at the USB drive, so small, but it held the power to destroy the program, to free dozens of children. It also held the power to destroy her life, again. I need to think, Beth said. We don't have time. I said I need to think. Beth closed her fist around the USB. Meet me tomorrow, same time. I'll have an answer. Ethan nodded, started to leave, stopped, turned back. Beth? Yes? Everything about being hungry, being scared, thanking you. Fresh tears ran down his face. That was real. The test was fake, but my gratitude wasn't. You're the first person who saw me as Ethan instead of Subject 13. The first real friend I ever had. Then he was gone. Beth stood there alone. The USB drive burned in her hand. 56 hours until they erased Ethan's mind. 56 hours to decide if she'd risk everything again. Beth thought about Tommy. You chose me. She opened her hand, looked at the USB drive, and for the first time in 14 years, Beth Davis felt like herself again. Beth drove home with the USB drive burning in her pocket. 56 hours. 56 hours to decide if she'd expose the program or let Ethan's mind be erased. She climbed the stairs to her apartment. Dark, empty, like it had been for 14 years. Beth sat at her kitchen table, pulled out the USB drive, stared at it. Ethan said it contained proof, evidence that would destroy the program. But something felt wrong. The way Ethan had looked at her, the guilt in his eyes, the trembling in his hands when he'd given it to her. There was more to this, something he wasn't saying. Beth pulled out an old laptop from her closet, the one from her NSA days, still encrypted, still secure. She booted it up, The screen glowed blue in the darkness. Her hands shook as she inserted the USB drive. A single file appeared, not documents, not proof, a video file. Beth's breath caught. She clicked it. The screen went black. Then an image appeared. A hospital room, white walls, beeping machines. And in that bed, a boy, 8 years old, bald from treatment, thin, pale, but smiling. Tommy. Beth's hands flew to her mouth. A sound escaped, half sob, half gasp. This wasn't proof of the program. This was something else entirely. Something impossible. The video played. Tommy looked directly at the camera. "Hi, Mom. If you're watching this, I'm probably gone. I'm sorry." Beth's vision blurred. Tears streamed down her face. "The doctor said I don't have much time. They asked if I wanted to record a message. I said yes, because there's something I need you to know." Tommy shifted. The movement looked painful, but he kept smiling, always smiling. "You made the right choice, Mom. Staying with me instead of taking that job. I know you think about it. I know you wonder what if, but you chose right." Beth shook her head. "No, baby, I chose wrong. You died because of me." But Tommy kept talking, like he could hear her thoughts across time. "You didn't choose wrong. You chose me. You chose love. That's never wrong." He coughed, caught his breath. "Some people spend their whole lives chasing money and power, but they miss what really matters. You didn't miss it, Mom. You were here every single day." Beth sobbed. Her whole body shook. Grief she'd buried since Obama's first term, grief from 2009, when Tommy died, when the world moved on, but she stayed frozen in that moment. "I'm not scared of dying. I'm sad I won't see you anymore, but I'm not scared, because I know I was loved, really loved, by the best mom in the world." Tommy's smile widened, that gap-toothed smile Beth had memorized. "So please don't blame yourself. Please don't think you failed me. You gave me 8 years of the best life a kid could have. That's enough. That's more than enough." He looked tired now, eyes heavy. "I love you, Mom. I'll always love you. And wherever I'm going, I'll be okay, because you taught me how to be brave." The video ended. Black screen. Beth sat there in the darkness, crying, shaking. She replayed the video, once, twice, 3 times, each sob louder than the last, each viewing breaking her open wider. 14 years of grief pouring out all at once. Tommy had forgiven her. From beyond the grave, he'd told her the truth she'd never let herself believe. She'd chosen right. A sound at the window made Beth look up. Ethan stood there. He'd climbed the fire escape, his face pressed against the glass. Beth wiped her eyes, opened the window. Ethan climbed inside. "You watched it," he said quietly. "You lied to me." Beth's voice was raw. "This isn't proof of the program. This is a video of my son." "I know. Why? Why did you lie?" Ethan sat down on the floor. He looked small, young, scared. "Because that's the real test. The USB doesn't have proof. It has closure, something Morris knew you needed more than anything." Beth stared at him. "I don't understand." "Morris kept this video for 14 years, waiting. The CIA recorded it in the hospital. Standard procedure for classified trials, but they never gave it to you. They used it as leverage, as a weapon. And Morris stole it. Yes, he knew about you, about Tommy, about everything. He's been watching you for 15 years, waiting to see if you were the person he needed." Beth's hands clenched. "So this whole thing, the hunger, the test, the USB, all of it was manipulation. The hunger was real. My fear was real. My gratitude was real." Ethan looked up at her, tears in his eyes. "But yes, the rest was manipulation. Morris designed it all, to see what you'd choose." "Choose what? The video or me?" Ethan stood. "You have the closure you've needed for 14 years. Tommy's forgiveness, his love, proof that you chose right. But if you keep it, I go back to the program. Phoenix Protocol activates. I forget everything, including you." Beth felt like she'd been hit. "And if I give it back? If you give it back to Morris, he'll free me. No Phoenix Protocol, no memory wipe. I get to keep my mind, my memories. My mom gets to know I'm alive." "In exchange for what?" Ethan's voice was barely a whisper. "In exchange for you. You join the program, become chief ethics officer, work from the inside to fix it, save the other children, but you give up the video, you give up Tommy's last message, forever." Beth looked at the laptop screen. Still black, still empty. But she could see Tommy's face in her mind, hear his voice. You chose right, Mom. I can't, Beth whispered. I can't give it up. It's all I have left of him. I know. Ethan walked to the window. That's why this test is cruel. Morris wants to know if you'll sacrifice your own healing to save someone else, if you'll give up closure to give me freedom. And if I don't, if I keep the video, then I go back. Phoenix Protocol, 54 hours from now. Ethan climbed onto the fire escape. You have until tomorrow, 2 o'clock, the warehouse. Bring the USB if you're willing to trade, or keep it if you need to heal. Ethan, wait. But he was already gone, climbing down, disappearing into the night. Beth stood alone in her apartment. The laptop screen glowed. The USB drive sat on the table. Tommy's voice echoed in her mind. You chose right, Mom. But had she? 14 years ago, she'd chosen Tommy over her career, and Tommy died anyway. Now she had to choose again. Tommy's memory or Ethan's future, her healing or his freedom, both choices felt impossible. Both choices felt like losing. Beth looked at the clock. 54 hours. She picked up the USB drive, held it in her palm, so small, so light. But it held everything. Tommy's last words, his forgiveness, his love. Could she give that up? Could she trade her son's final gift to save a boy she barely knew? Beth thought about what Tommy had said. You chose love. That's never wrong. She closed her eyes. Tommy's smile appeared in her mind, that gap-toothed smile, and she heard his voice, not from the video, but from somewhere deeper, somewhere beyond grief. Choose again, Mom, but wiser this time. Beth opened her eyes, and for the first time since Tommy died, Beth knew exactly what she had to do. The next day, Beth stood in the warehouse, 2 o'clock. The USB drive was in her pocket. She'd made her choice, but her hands still shook. She heard it before she saw it, a deep thumping, growing louder, helicopter blades. Beth walked to the broken window. A black military helicopter descended, massive, heading for the lot beside the warehouse. It landed, dust erupted, the blades slowed. The door opened. Ethan stepped out first. Beth's heart stopped. He walked calmly beside a man in military uniform, stars on the shoulders gleaming like in those leaked Pentagon documents, the ones showing generals' rank insignias in classified briefings. A general. He looked directly at the warehouse. He knew she was there. The blades stopped. Silence fell. Beth stood in the center of the warehouse, waiting. The side door opened. Ethan first, then the general. Mid-50s, strong features, gray at temples, tired eyes that had seen too much. Miss Davis, his voice was deep. I'm General Morris. Thank you for meeting us. Beth didn't respond. Morris looked around. Not comfortable, but private. That matters. You're Ethan's father, Beth said. Morris nodded. Yes. You put him in the program at 4 years old. I did. You turned your son into an asset. Morris's jaw tightened. I thought I was giving him a future. I was wrong. Ethan stood between them, silent. My wife died when Ethan was born. Complications. I was overseas. When I got home, she was gone. Ethan was fighting for his life. Morris looked at his son. I didn't know how to be a father. I was a soldier. When the program said they could give him the best education, training, I said yes. You gave him away. I gave him what I thought he needed, what I couldn't provide. Morris's hands clenched. I visit twice a year. Supervised. He calls me General, not Dad. Ethan looked down. Because that's what you are. Morris flinched, like the words hurt. 3 months ago, Ethan asked me a question. Do you love me? I couldn't answer. I stood there, silent. What did you say? Beth asked. Nothing. I said nothing. Morris looked at Beth. That's when I knew. The program had broken me. I'd become a machine, not a father. So you designed this test? Yes. I needed to know if someone could still feel what I couldn't. Someone who could choose love over duty. Morris stepped closer. You passed. You fed Ethan, protected him, refused our money, our threats. You chose him like you chose Tommy. Beth's hand went to her pocket, to the USB. And now you want me to give up my son's last words to save yours. Morris's eyes widened. That's not the trade I'm offering. Beth frowned. What do you mean? Morris pulled out a device. This is Phoenix Protocol authorization, requires 2 signatures, mine and my superiors. I can delay it, but I can't stop it. Then what can you do? Offer you a different choice. Morris set the device down. The USB has Tommy's video, but also a second file, encrypted, the real evidence. Everything about the program, every crime, every child. Beth stared at the USB. Ethan said it was only the video. Ethan didn't know. Too dangerous to tell him. Morris looked at his son. If the program suspected he knew, they'd activate protocol immediately. So the evidence has been there all along. Yes, now you have a real choice. Morris paused. Publish the evidence. Destroy the program. Free all the children, including Ethan. Beth waited. But you'll be arrested. Treason, espionage, prison for life. Morris's voice was flat. Like Watergate whistleblowers faced. Like Ellsberg with Pentagon Papers. Prison for justice. That's the trade. And if I don't publish, give me the USB. I destroy the evidence. Keep Tommy's video. Join the program as chief ethics officer. Work inside to change things slowly. Ethan goes free. No Phoenix protocol. But the other children stay trapped. Some, for now, until we reform piece by piece. Morris looked defeated. Not perfect. Not justice, but survival. Slow reform versus immediate destruction. Beth looked at Ethan. What do you want? Ethan's voice was small. I want to remember you. I want my mom. I want out. Even if others stay? Ethan hesitated, nodded. I'm sorry, but yes. Morris spoke again. One more thing. If you publish, Phoenix Protocol activates automatically. Security measure. All assets destroyed before they testify. Ethan's mind gets erased anyway. Beth's blood ran cold. So I can't save everyone. No. Morris looked at her. Save Ethan and work for slow change, or destroy the program and lose Ethan forever. You can't do both. That's the impossible choice. That's not a choice. That's torture. That's reality. Like every whistleblower faces. Expose truth and lose everything, or stay silent and live with guilt. Morris picked up his device. We have 48 hours. Phoenix Protocol activates either way. Unless you join us, give me the USB. Become part of the solution. Beth looked at the USB in her hand. Tommy's voice, Tommy's forgiveness, and buried inside the power to free dozens of children, at the cost of Ethan's mind, her freedom. I need time to think. We don't have time. 48 hours. Morris moved to the door. Ethan stays with you. Decide by tomorrow. 2 o'clock. Here, bring the USB if you're joining, or publish if you're choosing justice over mercy. Morris stopped, looked back at Ethan. I'm sorry, for everything. I hope someday you can forgive me, even if you can't call me Dad. Then he was gone. The helicopter started, lifted off, disappeared. Beth and Ethan stood alone in the warehouse. He gave you an impossible choice, Ethan said quietly. Just like he gave you an impossible childhood. What are you going to do? Beth looked at the USB, then at Ethan, then at the empty space where Morris had stood. I don't know, she whispered. I honestly don't know. But somewhere deep inside, beneath the fear and the grief and the anger, a plan was forming, a way to break the rules, a way to save everyone, a way to win. That night, Beth didn't sleep, but this time she wasn't paralyzed. She was planning. Ethan sat across from her at the kitchen table, silent, watching. You have an idea, he said finally. I can see it. Beth looked at him. The evidence on this USB, how detailed is it? Everything, names, dates, locations, mission logs, enough to prosecute everyone. Including Morris? Especially Morris. His signature is on everything. Beth stood, paced. Morris said publishing triggers Phoenix Protocol, all assets erased. Security measure, yes. What if we don't publish? What if we use it as leverage? Beth stopped. Negotiate instead of attack. Ethan's eyes widened. Blackmail Morris. Negotiate. Morris wants reform. He needs someone outside who can't be controlled. Me, not as employee. As independent overseer with the evidence. He'd never agree. You'd have power over him forever. That's why he will agree. He knows what he's done is wrong. This gives him redemption. Beth pulled out the USB, but only on my terms. The next morning, Beth called Marks. I want a meeting, today, noon, the warehouse. Morris, you and me. Have you decided? Yes, but not what you expect. She hung up. At noon, Beth and Ethan entered the warehouse. Morris and Marks were waiting. Miss Davis, Morris said, you have something to tell us? Beth held up the USB. I've reviewed everything, Tommy's video and the evidence. And? I'm not giving it to you. I'm not publishing it. I'm keeping it as insurance. Marks stepped forward. That's blackmail. That's survival. Beth looked at Morris. You want me to help reform the program? Fine. But not as your employee, as your watchdog. Explain. I keep the evidence. I stay outside the program. Independent. Full access to everything, every facility, every child. I review everything, approve or deny everything. Impossible. You'd have more power than the director. Yes, because that's what it takes to protect these children. Beth stepped closer. I get veto power over dangerous missions, authority to pull any child I believe is being harmed, and the right to shut everything down if you break our agreement. Marks looked at Morris. Sir, this is insane. Morris stared at Beth. What else? Ethan goes free, today. No Phoenix protocol, no tracking, normal child. You get supervised visitation once a month. Learn to be his father. Agreed. The other 12 children get independent psychological evaluation. Any child who wants out gets out. Full civilian reintegration. Morris hesitated. Some have nowhere to go. Then we find somewhere. Foster care, adoption, anything but this. Agreed. Marks interrupted. Sir, your superiors will never approve this. Morris turned to him. Then I resign. Effective immediately. Silence. What? Marks stared. 30 years of service. Done. Morris looked at Beth. You're right. I can't reform this from inside. I can't be Ethan's father while being a general, so I choose Ethan. Beth hadn't expected this. You'd give up your career? I already lost my wife. 10 years with my son. I won't lose anything else. Morris pulled off his rank insignia, set it down. You want an independent overseer? You'll have one, me, working for you, helping you tear down what I built. Beth's throat tightened. This was better than her plan. One more condition, she said. Agent Marks, you said you failed Daniel. Subject 8, Marks went pale. What about it? 3 children are still missing. You find them. You bring them home. That's your redemption. Marks looked at Morris. Morris nodded. She's right. Find those children. Marks was silent, then nodded. I'll find them, whatever it takes. And when you do, you're done with the program. You get out. Get help. Marks looked away. Understood. Beth took a breath. Do we have a deal? Morris extended his hand. We have a deal. Beth thought of Tommy's words. You chose right, Mom. She shook Morris's hand. Deal. 2 hours later, the helicopter returned. But this time, it brought something different. 9 children stepped out, ages 8 to 14, thin, scared, confused. Morris had kept his word. The evaluation teams had worked fast. 9 children wanted out. 9 were getting out. Beth stood with Ethan, watching them. Former assets, now just kids. One girl stepped forward. Maybe 12 years old, dark hair, thin face. She wore a bracelet. Number 7. She looked at Ethan, then ran to him, threw her arms around him. Ethan, she whispered. You did it. You got us out. Ethan hugged her back, stiff at first, like he'd forgotten how, then tighter, real. It was the first real hug Subject 7 had felt in years, like kids at a foster fair. Hoping, desperate, finally chosen. Beth watched, tears in her eyes. Other children joined, a small circle of hugs, of relief, of freedom. Morris approached. He wasn't wearing his uniform anymore, just civilian clothes. He looked smaller without the stars and rank. They'll need homes, he said quietly. Families, therapy, years of help. They'll get it. Beth looked at him. You'll make sure of it? Morris nodded. Then he turned to Ethan, knelt down to eye level. I don't expect you to forgive me. Not now, maybe not ever. But I want you to know I'm sorry for everything. And I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be the father you deserved. Ethan stared at him, silent. Then slowly he nodded. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. Morris stood, walked toward the children, started talking to them, gentle, patient, like a father should, like he was learning how. Beth watched. The USB drive was still in her pocket. Tommy's voice, Tommy's forgiveness, and the evidence that would keep Morris honest, keep the program accountable. She'd found a way to win, not perfectly, not completely, but enough. Agent Marks approached. I'm leaving tonight, starting the search for the missing 3. Good luck, Beth said. I don't need luck. I need redemption. Marks looked at the 9 children, at Subject 7 still holding Ethan's hand. Just like them. He walked away, got into a black sedan, drove off into the afternoon sun. Beth felt Ethan's hand slip into hers. "Thank you," he said quietly, "for not giving up on me. Thank you for reminding me who I used to be." They stood together watching the children, watching Morris try to help them, watching the beginning of something new. It wasn't perfect. 3 children were still missing. The program still existed. The fight was far from over, but today 9 children were free. Ethan had his mind. Morris had a chance at fatherhood. Beth had purpose again. Progress, not perfection. Like post-9/11 reforms that actually stuck. The ones that took years but changed things. Slow, painful, but real. Sometimes that's all you can ask for. Not fairy tales, not easy answers, just progress. Just hope. Just enough to keep fighting. Just enough. 6 months later. The diner still opens at 6. Beth still makes coffee, but now Ethan sits at the counter after school, doing homework, normal, almost. Morris picks him up at 4. No uniform anymore, jeans and a flannel shirt, learning to be a father, slowly. They go fishing on Saturdays. Ethan doesn't flinch anymore when Morris hugs him. The program didn't vanish. It restructured. Beth sits in meetings now, chief independent oversight officer, real power, real decisions. 9 children found, safe, new families, new lives. 3 children still missing. Beth keeps their photos on her desk, reminds her the work isn't finished. Marks never came back. Just a postcard 2 months ago. Still looking, don't give up. No signature needed. Today a file lands on Beth's desk. Mission proposal. Subject 22, age 12, high risk, high reward. Intelligence says it could save 100 lives, maybe more. But it might cost one. Her hand hovers over the stamp. Approved. Denied. She thinks of Tommy. She thinks of Ethan. She thinks of the 3 still missing. She thinks of subject 22, a child with a number instead of a name. The stamp stays suspended, frozen between 2 truths. Save one, save many. There is no perfect answer. The room is quiet. Everyone waits for her decision. Beth closes her eyes, sees Tommy smile, hears his voice. You chose right, Mom. But what is right now? What is right when every choice costs something? When every decision leaves someone behind? She opens her eyes, looks at the file, at subject 22's photo. A girl, dark hair, 12 years old, someone's daughter. Beth's hand moves toward the stamp. The screen goes black. If you held that stamp, what would you choose? Approve the mission and risk one child to save 100, or deny it and let others suffer while keeping one safe? Where is the line between protection and paralysis, between courage and cruelty? Tell me in the comments. Because Beth is still deciding. And so am I. Some choices don't have right answers. They only have consequences.